Did you also know that there is a uniquely beautiful valley nestled in a remote area of the northern parts of Vietnam? A very distant and mountainous place that is so far away from the busy and noisy environment, so that for centuries the lowland people almost forgot that it exists. It is found so deep within a misty and time-worn region, that it once was an enclave and a semi-autonomous Thai territory, which existed under the old Vietnamese imperial court, which reigned out of the imperial city of HCM, from 1802 to 1945. And even as of today, this region stays in a place where nature and tradition still exist in harmonious sync. There is even a village that stood for nearly 700 years, a place that is also one of the oldest settlements in the northern parts of Vietnam, and the treasured home to generations of the white Thai community. If this intrigues you, join me for a new episode as we explore these enchanting destinations often described as heaven by travelers, but for now, let's relax and hope we soon get past these gray and depressing skies. And as usual, here is also our route description, which started in Khai Sơn and rejoined the ĐΙธ์Ho Chi Minh Road that is leading towards the city of Tan Khai, which is home to one of the two symbolic Kilometer Zero markers of the Ho Chi Minh Road. From there, we will travel further north toward the NGỌC LmaeC city in the Thanh Hoa province, where we will leave the Ho Chi Minh Road and continue toward the city of Dong Tom and the town of Ban Du. At that point, we will also exit Thanh Hoa and enter the Phu Tho province, in order to continue our voyage toward the village of Tan Mai, and if we are good in time we will hopefully reach the scenic valley of Mai Chau, sometimes today in the late afternoon.
Another wedding. It's very busy on the rice bar. Everybody is chipping in, eh? Good. And that is the railway.
As we are now arriving in the town of Tan Khai, which is nestled here in the province of Nien, let us talk a bit about the modest but yet powerful monument that is the proud centerpiece here in this city. The Kilometer Zero marker of the legendary Ho Chi Minh Trail. This milestone monument marks the starting point of a road that once carried the weight of a nation's hopes. Conceived in 1959 by the Politburo, the trail was built to supply the Southern Front during the war against the U.S. forces. Over months and years, thousands of soldiers, volunteers, and local villagers carved paths through the mountains and jungles, often under the cover of darkness. The total trail length stretched well over 17,000 kilometers, and weaving through Vietnam and the countries of Laos and Cambodia and forming an unbelievable efficient and vast logistical network. And so, the Lat village of Tan Khai became the gateway to this hidden artery of resistance, and from here, the countless trucks were loaded with food, weapons, and fuel and began their journey south. Of course, the road was relentlessly bombed by the U.S. forces, yet it endured and was rebuilt, rerouted, and even better camouflaged. It became a symbol of Vietnamese resilience and ingenuity as more than 2 million soldiers and 1 million tons of supplies passed through this route. And after the war, the trail evolved into the Ho Chi Minh Highway, linking the country from north to south. Then in 1990, the Kilometer Zero site was declared a National Historical Relic with a small museum nearby, a place that preserves the wartime artifacts and stories of the Truong Son soldiers. Today, visitors come not just to see a stone marker, but also to stand at the threshold of history, and therefore, the milestone of Tan Khai is much more than a point on a map, it is the true beginning of a great and unforgettable legend. By the way, as I mentioned before, Vietnam has two Ho Chi Minh Kilometer Zero monuments, with the more recent one set up in 2014 in the commune of Pac Bo, which is located in the Cao Bang province and is an area of great historical importance. The Pac Bo site marks a significant milestone in the Vietnamese revolutionary journey, and commemorating Ho Chi Minh's return to the country in 1941. That event laid the groundwork for the nation's struggle for independence. And so, that monument became part of the expansive Ho Chi Minh Highway, a main road which stretches for 3,183 kilometers from Pac Bo, in the northeast, and leading to the Ca Mau Cape, which is located in the Bac Lu province, at the most southwestern point of Vietnam. And since we already entered the Thanh Hoa province, let's talk a bit about this region. Thanh Hoa is located here at the boundary between the northern Vietnam and the north-central coast, and it has long served as a transitional zone in terms of geography, climate, and culture. It is also the northernmost coastal province in the central region, where the terrain shifts from mountainous highlands to river valleys and to coastal plains. If we talk about the human civilization here in Thanh Hoa, I learned that it began around 6,000 years ago, and so making it one of the earliest centers of Vietnamese history. Archaeological discoveries confirm the presence of the Da But culture, which flourished closer to the shoreline and along the Day and the Ma rivers. Their civilization thrived around from 5,000 to 1,000 before Christ, and so is their name given to a period that belongs to the early Neolithic age of Vietnam. The archaeological discoveries of the Da But culture is also offering insights into early subsistence practices and social organization. Countless excavation sites throughout the province have also revealed that ancient tools, pottery, and burial customs existed, and therefore affirming a long-standing habitation by Proto-Vietnamese peoples, which are believed to have migrated from southern China into the region of the modern-day Vietnam, and settling down in the Red River Delta area. During the early formation of the Vietnamese state, Thanh Hoa merged into the Van Lang Kingdom as the districts of Kieu Chan and Quan Ninh. And under the Han Dynasty, this region also formed part of the Kieu Chan district, and serving as a local administrative center in the Chinese-controlled protectorate. Then later in the era of the Three Kingdoms, from 220 to 280 Anno Domini, the Eastern Wu took the direct control over the area, and further entrenching the Chinese governance. Later, Kieu Chan divided into Kieu Chan and Kieu Duc, and the former encompassing into the present-day Thanh Hoa and parts of Ninh Ben. This new Kieu Chan district then subdivided into the following 7 regions: Tu Pho, Di Phong, Cu Phong, Tran No, Kien So, Phu Lac, Thuong Lac, and Tung Nguyen. And then, with the rise of the Liang dynasty, Emperor Liang Wu renamed Kieu Chan to a He Chao and reflecting the new imperial designations. Later, during the Sui dynasty, it reverted once more back to its former name, namely to the Kieu Chan district. These administrative shifts clearly mirrored the changing political landscapes here in East Asia, although unluckily, the local Vietnamese communities here continued to preserve their distinct traditions and identities. Over centuries, Thanh Hoa absorbed influences from multiple regimes, yet developed its own unique customs and folklore. Its position as a crossroads contributed to rich cultural layering, seen in religious practices, dialects, and culinary diversity. The province also became an important site for military and economic activity, guarding access routes between northern and central Vietnam. Today, these traces of the early civilization still shape this province identity. From the Da But archaeological legacy to its role in Vietnam's ancient and imperial history, the region stands as a vital witness to continuity and adaptation, that still retains the local habits and regional cultural distinctions that marks it as both resilient and diverse. And therefore, Thanh Hoa's deep historical roots continue to inform its present-day significance and offering valuable context, which are all factors for understanding the Vietnamese developments across the millennia, and that is showing that its legacy remains anchored in both the earth and the memory of its people.
bit like Ninh Bình, huh?
As we leaving the city of NGỌC LmaeC behind us, the motorbike hums steadily beneath, and carrying us past the green fields that stretch toward the rising and endless karst hills. And the further north we go, the more we feel that the modest bustle of the city life is also fading fast behind us. And the sun-dipped valley is showing its golden hour glow, a shine that sometimes even dips behind the karst mountainous horizon, showing us that the afternoon is fading fast. And as the road towards Dong Tom town curves through quiet villages, where stilt houses peek out from clusters of bamboo, we can see playful kids waving from gravel paths as they chase dogs and balance baskets of fresh greens. The elevation rises gently, and patches of forest begin to thicken. Then here are the first signs of Dong Tom already appearing as a handful of tiled roofs folding into the sleepy valley. The air grows quieter, the mood more solemn, as this town straddles the line between cultivation and wilderness, with its rhythm that is slower, and its spirit that is getting more introspective. Ahead of us and after passing all these villages, here is the ĐIธ์Nature Reserve, tucked into the highlands on our upcoming left side. It is a conservation area that spans over 24,000 hectares, including karst stone hills, forested slopes, and streams that are cool and still pristine. They told me that the park's narrow trails are set with countless motion sensor cameras, trail cams that can capture glimpses of creatures that rarely show themselves, like the big-headed turtles, the mountain tortoises, and numerous stealthy mammals that stir only at nighttime. Villagers trained in conservation also pass through now and then and using their local knowledge to protect the habitats and guide research. They say that the reserve holds over 2,600 species, with a great deal of them listed as endangered, and that makes it certainly a remarkably interesting conservation area to explore. Now as we are following the Nam Ma River, the QL15 road narrows beside the water. Here the farmers cast nets from the countless sandbanks and guide their buffalo through muddy shallows. The river flows beside us like a silent companion, sometimes sparkling and playful, sometimes shadowed and still beneath dense foliage, filled with dragonflies that zipping by while we are passing roadside shrines that mark remembrance of past happenings. As we now reach the Bandu village here in the Potan district, the houses here still stand firm but faded in color and marked with rich time-worn stories, deeply engaging tales that have etched into their surface by the rain, wind, and sun. We can also notice that the childrens here like to gather under the unnumbered mighty jackfruit trees, while the elders prefer to sit beneath quiet verandas, and gazing onto the endless flowing river, watching it as if they are tracing a never-ending story they have read for years. We now officially entered the Hoa Ben region, which as of June this year, merged into the Phu Tho province, as part of a wider national administrative reform. But to keep it easy today, we will talk primarily about the Hoa Ben area, which is a very mountainous region here in Vietnam's northwestern region. Founded as the Muong province in 1886, then renamed in 1891 to Hoa Ben, which means peace in Sino-Vietnamese. The province spans over 4,590 square kilometers and is home to over 850,000 people. To keep it simpler, we will narrow the minority group down to the Mai Chau district, and here are 6 minority groups, in which the Thai group account for 65% of the total population. The 2 ethnic groups with the next largest population are the Muong and the Hmong. After a long time settling on the same region, each other affect the characteristics of the 3 groups, but differentiated by their garments, lifestyle, as well as other elements. Moreover, the Hoa Ben province is the cradle of the ancient Hoa Binian culture, with archaeological evidence of human habitation that is dating back for as long as 10,000 years. It was a culture composed of implements that are in general flaked with varied types of primitive workmanship. The Hoabinian culture people typically used tools that have one worked side and include hammerstones, subtriangular implements, disc-shaped items, short axes, almond-shaped artifacts, and bone tools. Now talking about the topography, the province terrain features steep hills, narrow valleys, and the Da River, which hosts the historic Hoa Ben hydroelectric plant, and which is one of Southeast Asia's largest hydropower station. It is a province that is also extraordinarily rich in cultural diversity, with over 40 ethnic groups contributing to its festivals, architecture, and cuisine, and popular destinations that include the Mai Chau Valley, which is due to its extremely beautiful scenery often referred as the heaven of the Thai ethnic minorities. Then there is the Kim Boi district with its hot springs, and last but not least the Thung Nai district at the Hoa Ben Lake, at the southern parts of the Hong Lin Sun Mountain Range, and part of the mighty Da River system, and often called the Ha Long Bay in the highlands. And because of all of these favorable reasons, it is to no one's surprise that nowadays tourism here blends with ecotourism and cultural experiences, especially in stilthouse villages like Lac and Bich Tru, which are famous for its traditional wood and bamboo stilt houses, some of which serve as cozy homestays. Then there are the numerous open-air restaurants that offer grilled dishes, and traditional specialties like stir-fried bamboo shoots and rice steamed in bamboo tubes, and all that to please our insatiable gourmet palate. And if you are still here, thank you for riding with me through this chapter of the journey. We began in the humble village of Khai Sơn, rolled along the historic ĐONG Ho Chi Minh Road, and watched it veer away from us in NGỌC LmaeC as it pressed on toward Hanoi. We, however, stayed true to our course, following QL15 northward into Hoa Ben province, where the lush expanse of the Mai Chau Valley unfolded like a heavenly dream. Now, I invite you to join me in the next leg, where we slow down and explore the soul of Mai Chau town and its surroundings here in Hoa Ben's tranquil heartland. If that sounds like your kind of discovery, hit subscribe and come along, because this next chapter dives deeper into the rhythms of the land, where cultural heritage and living history breathe together like nowhere else. We will venture into hidden enclaves shaped by generations of ethnic minority groups, whose traditions are still lived, and not staged. These are unique places few travelers reach, locations so special where stories are not yet polished, but so powerful that it will stay in our memory for a lifetime. Furthermore, it is also the valley where the landscape speaks louder than our well-curated itineraries. And by mixing all this together, it is becoming indeed a rare window into the enduring spirit of communities, witnessing citizens that are tucked quietly between misty hills and terraced rice fields, which makes this region here so exceptionally special, and which would be a shame if we miss it.